What it do, good people? Welcome to the channel. This is KDTV, formerly known as the Daniel Diagnosis. I'm your host, Keith Daniel. All right. I switched it up from just calling it the Daniel Diagnosis to KDTV simply because, of course, we're still going to be diagnosing videos and information over here, but I wanted to be able to touch on different topics, hip hop, world events, and sports, because no matter what we dive into, there is something good to take out of everything. All right, and that's how I want you to look at life. No matter what you're going through, try to get the good out of it. All right. I've been away for a minute. Shouts out to all the subscribers that still have me subscribed or are still subscribed to my channel, um, even though I've not been creating content as I should. Um, I think that we can all agree that over the last year, especially, it's been a lot going on, man. And that's the topic of this video that I'm creating right now. Information overload. Um, Sometimes it's good to just fall back. Sometimes it's good to take time to process things and see exactly what's going on in the world. I think it's safe to say that in this information age that we're living in, it's a plethora of information to filter from. Now, I remember back in the day when I was doing my research and we were coming upon this information age before it was cool to get out here and ramble about your conspiracy theories, that I thought this information age would be something exciting and would be something glorious. And I'm not saying that it isn't, but in recent times, I've come to find out that, yo, information can be very, very dangerous. Um, Two reasons to me. Number one, with all of this information coming out, it's hard to fact check what's real and what ain't. Okay? And number two, everybody ain't ready for certain information. Okay? Giving a person that's not mentally ready or doesn't have the mental capacity to process certain information in a healthy way can be detrimental to that person. And I think we're seeing that. We're seeing that more and more and more. People that come out and create their channels on YouTube, they create their blog sites, they have their social media presence. It's a fine line from, being a content creator and being a cult leader. All right? The former is what I don't want to be. I don't want this to become a cult over here. I'm not telling you I'm the brightest bulb in the box. I'm not the sharpest pencil in the bunch. I'm just a person that likes to dive into information and try to decipher if it's real or fake, or get other people's opinions. Sadly, that ain't the case. What you're finding is that people are getting on here spewing out all kind of nonsense just for the sake of bringing in a YouTube check. So, for me, I just thought it would be advantageous to just sit back, you know, um, do some more research, fine tune the topics that I want to talk about, and try to be a force for good out here amidst all of this confusion that we have going on right now. Because it's real confusion. Now, as a people, as black people in this country, and I know people don't like the term black, but I'm using it for a lack of better terms, because the point that I'm trying to make is we can't agree on who we are. You got all these subdivisions. You got FBA, you got Hebrew Israelites, you got indigenous, you got African American, you got Pan-African, and all of us look the same. In my humble opinion, being truthful about this, how about for the sake of getting out of this rut and moving forward, we just remove all the subtitles just for a minute and call ourselves American for once. Because we all here in America. So let's just be Americans. Now, I ain't saying that you need to forget your heritage. I ain't saying that you don't need to do your genetic background checks to try to see who you are and who your people are, this, that, and the third. All that's fine. But it's a divisive tactic as well. So we got to be careful. And all this ties into this information overload that I'm speaking on. With too much information, we can't make proper decisions. All right? And I don't think this is gonna be a long video, but I just think that for me, getting back out here and starting to create content, I thought that this was fitting for a video. Now, what I want to do here is I want to discuss with you the definition of information overload. All right? Now, information overload, according to Wikipedia, trusty Wikipedia, information overload, also known as infobesity, I can't even pronounce that. Infoxication or information anxiety is the difficulty in understanding an issue and effectively making decisions when one has too much information about the issue, and is generally associated with the excessive quantity of daily information. Does that not hit the nail on the head for what we got going on out here in these YouTube streets, in these blogging streets, in these podcasting streets, social media streets? Is this not hitting the nail on the head? It is information overload. It's making it difficult to understand any issue when you have all of these different standpoints. So in order for us, because the common question that you have from people is, what do we do? How do we move forward? No one can give you a concrete answer because no one is agreeing on anything. Everybody want to be right. And that is simply due to this information overload. The term information overload was first used as early as 1962 by scholars in management and information studies, including Bertram Gross, 1964 book, The Managing of Organizations. It was further popularized by Alvin Toffler in his best-selling 1970 book, Future Shock. Spear et al., 1999, said that if input exceeds the processing capacity, information overload occurs, which is likely to reduce the quality of the decisions. I'm going to say that one more time. If input exceeds the processing capacity, information overload occurs, which is likely to reduce the quality of the decisions. Is that not what's happening right now, good people? The input is exceeding the processing capabilities of people everywhere. Why do I say this, right? And you could be asking me, well, why you think that this is happening? It's evident. If you're in this sector of YouTube, everybody want to all of a sudden become a philosopher. Everybody all of a sudden wants to become the new leader of this group. Everybody has the truth, the real truth, and nothing but the truth, so help them God. Everybody is now a conspiracy theorist. And the problem is that we're trying to get information that wasn't available to us before, take this information and use it in order to make certain decisions, right? But we got too much of it. We can't fact check it. We can't really, a lot of the information that we get, it's not like we have viable sources in order to reference. A lot of this shit, people, they just making this shit up because they done heard somebody else and now they're just being parrots to somebody else's talking points. That's dangerous. It's easy for me to get out here and talk about what Bobby Hemmett was talking about, but it's a hard thing for a person to do to get out here and practice the things that Bobby Hemmett practiced. You feel what I'm saying? It's easy to get out here and talk about Dr. York and give you that type of information from what he was talking about. But are you truly practicing what Dr. York was practicing? Because to me, that is the only way that you can be a reliable source on regurgitating the information. Experience is the best teacher. But when you just look at a couple of videos yourself, of several people, and then you take key talking points from these several people and you come up with a presentation and then you throw it out here on YouTube, you're doing more damage to the cause than you are good. Like I said, for example, we can't even agree on who we are as a people just due to this information overload. You see what I'm saying? We can't. And the truth of the matter is, one thing that we can fact check, one thing that we can say is to be true, is that we are all American. We're all here on this land. That should be enough. But no, we keep on regurgitating more information to muddy the waters even more. Now, we can't even see if we coming or going. We might be in a worse situation now than we were 5 years ago. I'm just keeping it a beam. It's that bad. It's bad. You start following certain people and you can look at the videos and whatnot and, like some of their talking points and whatnot. But then all of a sudden out of nowhere, they start going in left field. And if you ain't careful, you'll go right into left field with them. A lot of these people that's getting on these social sites are looking for somebody to lead them. No one wants to lead themselves. No one wants to truly govern themselves. It's only a few people out here that truly want to govern themselves. You see what I'm saying? It ain't as easy as it sounds. It's not easy to truly govern yourself in a fashion to where you're going to get along with your fellow human beings and you're going to adhere to the laws of the universe. It's hard. It takes discipline. And don't nobody truly want to be disciplined. The difference between a successful person and an unsuccessful person all comes down to discipline. Period. The difference between a follower and a leader is this. A follower wants to follow. A leader wants to lead. Just because a person calls themselves a leader, that don't mean they're a leader. Just because a person has, like I said before, has researched a little bit of information on a certain topic, doesn't mean that they're qualified to be a leader in this discussion. See what I'm saying? We have to be careful. Like I said on previous videos, you have to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. You see what I'm saying? You have to be able to entertain thoughts without accepting it. It's okay to study. It's okay to dive into information. However, it is not okay to believe everything that your favorite channel says. Challenge that shit, man. It's very important to challenge things and prove theories to be true before just blindly accepting them. That's dangerous. And not only is it dangerous for an individual, it's even more dangerous for a collective. Think about it. There's a group of people that can't agree on what's true and what's false. You are an easy target. Therefore, black people, right now, we are an easy target. I'm gonna give you an example. This is an election year, correct? We have a presidential election coming up in November. Who's the most important demographic in this election right now? Black people. Period. Did you see Trump rally in Atlanta? He had Michaela Montgomery bring him out. She was on fire. Couldn't know, and no, this ain't no disrespect to my Caucasian counterparts, but y'all couldn't have came to Atlanta and did what she did for Trump. She was on fire. She had talking points. She was talking about real policy and everything. But it was catered to the black people. Check this out. Kamala Harris. Yes, I said Kamala, because Kamala doesn't come across comfortably out of my mouth. I'm from the hood. I'm sorry. If people want to identify with her as African American or black, 9 times out of 10, most of them folks gonna say Kamala. It just sounds better. I'm just being honest with you. But out of respect, Kamala Harris, Madam Vice President, when she was in Atlanta, who did she have on stage? Quavo. Who was at the other rally? Megan Thee Stallion. Now, I find it cringe on both parts, but I can accept how the Trump rally positioned themselves with true political talking points. What I don't like is, I don't like being pandered to through entertainers and athletes and things of that nature. If I wanted to be entertained, I would go to a concert. If I wanted to be entertained, I would watch a music video. If I wanted to be entertained, I would listen to music. I would stream their songs. When I'm trying to decide who I want to vote for, I need to hear policy. I need to hear platform. I need to hear your vision. I don't need to hear that my favorite rapper voting for you, so I should too. Black people, we gotta be smarter than that. And Democratic Party, you can't keep on doing us like this. I'm sorry. I know it might hit a few people the wrong way. You might try to cancel me. Who cares? I've been quiet long enough. I need to say what I'm saying because people need to hear it. But the point that I'm trying to make is both parties are vying for your attention, black people. Only thing we got to do is filter through all this damn information, set it to the side for a second, come together as one group of people and tell them what we want and what we expect. Here's another thing about this information overload. Speaking about the elections, people saying that your vote don't count. I find that to be very, very dangerous. That's a very, very dangerous weapon. That is a very, very dangerous tactic. Even though you may believe that, believe it. But telling people not to vote, telling people not to go to the polls and this, that, and the third, listen, that is crazy. If your vote didn't count, then why didn't they want you to vote in the first place? If your vote didn't count, then why are they trying to suppress your vote? If your vote didn't count, why are they putting Quavo and Megan Thee Stallion on stage to try to get you to vote? Why are they dumping millions and billions of dollars into these campaigns to get you to vote? Think about it. If your vote didn't count. It does. But you got so much information out here, people really don't know. They start questioning, well, really, do my vote count? Oh, they already gonna do what they gonna do. Like, come on, bro. When people come together, they are the most powerful thing in the world, period. When you divide a people, that people is very easy to conquer. That's it. Simple. Simple, simple, simple. So let's keep it simple, stupid. Vote. because it counts. It matters. People died for that right. We can't sit here and say that we just not going to participate this, that, and the third. When you do that, you're throwing the baby away with the bathwater. Now you have no dog in this fight, and these folks can just do whatever the hell they want to do to you because you done rolled over and played dead already. You think they're going to help pick you up? No, they're going to step all over you. That's the importance in voting. It's certain rights and benefits that we all have the pleasure of experiencing. But none of these rights and benefits would be possible without the power of the vote. All you YouTube creators that's got your channels, that's telling people not to vote, guess what? You wouldn't be on YouTube right now if it wasn't for the power of the vote. Stop me when I'm lying. So for you to get here on your platform, on your high horse, and try to convince a bunch of people that depend on you, that listen to you, that follow you for direction, not to vote, you need your black card revoked. You need your license stripped from making content on YouTube and things of that nature, because you're a dangerous person. It don't make sense. Voting matters. If we all in the room right here and everybody hungry, guess what? We gonna take a vote on what we gonna do for lunch. If everybody vote to go out on their own and get lunch, that's what we gonna do. If everybody vote to stay in and order pizza, that's what we gonna do. You see what I'm saying? Like, voting is part of the human experience, no matter where you at. No matter what you doing. You ride in the car with your family, on vacation, traveling. This conversation is gonna happen. We need to stop and get something to eat. What y'all want? That's voting. You see what I'm saying? Well, it ain't nothing but a Burger King and ain't nothing but a Church's Chicken. What you want? You can't magically make a McDonald's pop up if it ain't nothing but a Burger King or a Church's Chicken. Kids may say, man, I don't want none of that. Well, you ain't gonna eat then. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's simple. And then, before I get off my soapbox, when you say don't participate in this system, don't do this and separate yourself from the machine, this, that, and the third. My question to you people that have that thought process is this. What's the alternative? What's your action plan once you disconnect? Because you just ain't finna live over here and not do nothing. What? If you don't like this so much, if you have so much aggression and madness in you about this place that we call America, why don't you pack your shit and go somewhere else? If this place so bad, why is everybody trying to get here? I got news for you, baby. This is the land of milk and honey. Yes, we've been told some fibs. Yes, we had to go through some shit. But who don't? Yes, it was traumatic. It's needed. You got to go through something to get somewhere. I was having a conversation today, and my partner was telling me, and it really made sense. We were talking about trauma, the trauma of black people, what we had to go through, Jim Crow, through civil rights, things of that nature, yada, yada. But, bro, think about coming from a communist Vietnam or somewhere like that, where you see tanks tanks in front of your house when you come out, soldiers walking up and down the streets. I'm talking about like you have the actual thought of freedom is non-existent in some places. And we have the nerve to complain like we just done went through so goddamn much. Like our plight is the worst plight ever. Man, listen, man, get out your feelings, bro. Ain't nobody saying that we ain't have some tough times and shit like that, but man, it's 2024. This shit is real. And we being flooded with information, and we trying to decipher shit that don't even fucking matter. FBA, let's say we are Foundation of Black Americans. So, what that mean? What are we gonna do? What is that gonna accomplish? Let's say everybody agree that we are Hebrew Israelites. What does that mean? Yeah, let's say we are the chosen people. What the fuck does that mean? What can we do with that? Not tell me. Leave it in the comments. I'm dead serious. Like, what can we do with that? I'm not telling you not to study. I'm not telling you not to study to show yourself approved. We all should be educating ourselves in order to make ourselves better. But as a collective, please, we have to stop all this disagreement. We have to stop fussing with each other about the minutia, and we need to focus on the big picture before it's too late. Straight up. Because this information overload that I'm talking about is real. And it's having dire effects upon our society. Very much so. It's having the effect all across America. Every American right now is being affected by information overload. Every person, no matter if you are a Democrat, no matter if you are a Republican, no matter if you black, no matter if you white. Information overload is fucking us up. We don't know what's real. We don't know what's fake. Every other post you see on Facebook got some little tags on there like this information is false. This is not this. Fact checking this, that, and the third. This shit real. And we can't just blindly believe shit without doing our own research about it first. In my opinion. Now, what I want to get at, it's a video. I hadn't even looked at the video yet. But this is a video from David Hoffman, his YouTube channel. Pretty big channel, man. He got like 1.12 million subscribers. This is a video from 1979. Information overload. And Kissinger predicted it would become worse. Now, this was said in 1979 about information overload. Back in 79, I wasn't even existing yet. I hadn't even came into this realm yet in 1979. I know when I was growing up, a lot of the stuff we talking about right now, you couldn't talk about this shit. Boy, you couldn't get out here saying none of this shit that we talk about right now on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. Man, you would get killed, boy. These folk would knock your head off. You see what I'm saying? So now, what makes it cool all of a sudden to put this information out here? Why is it now? I'm going to tell you why, in my opinion. The why is this. Truth had to come out. And if you can't stop the truth coming out about certain agendas, about certain situations, about certain issues, the best thing you can do is launch counter narratives. The best thing you can do is put out ulterior or alternate truths, alternate realities, and muddy the waters. So now, yes, the truth's out here, but how can you decide if it's real or fake between all the other truths that they threw out here? You see how that works? For example, I think everybody that watched this video will be able to say that in our science fiction movies, well, basically in all movies pretty much, there is some hint of truth in those movies, in the messaging of the movies, right? But they label them fiction. So now you have to sit here and say, yeah, there's some truth in here, but it's a fictional movie. None of this really took place. The same is happening in real time with all this information that we're being bombarded with online. This is the internet of things. And just like a net, it's catching everything. Some of this shit you gotta let go. Some of this shit you need to let fall through the holes of the net. But we holding on to all this shit And now we can't make our way through. We can't. The net is like a maze. It's already difficult to navigate. But now it's cluttered with so much bullshit to where it's damn near impossible to even find truth. So I just, like I said, I wanted to touch on this aspect because I think it's very, very important that we understand that we are all victims of information overload. And we gotta do something about it. All right, so let's get into the video.
Information overload. There's obviously been an information explosion in this country. There are more people than ever generating more and more information using newer and faster tools that process and transmit the stuff in overwhelming quantity. We seem to have lost our discipline, if we ever had it, for knowing when information is useful and valuable and when it's useless.
You heard that?
Bureaucracies are definitely...
I agree with that. We have lost our discipline to know when to use information, when it's useful, and when not to. Did I just not hit on that? Did I just not touch on that topic? Now, this was back in 1979. I just said it in real time in 2024, and I hadn't even watched this video. A lot of this information that we're trying to, a lot of these mysteries that we're trying to solve, a lot of these Scooby-Doo episodes that we're trying to be a part of, we just need to be entertained by that shit. It's not useful, but we're arguing about it. You see what I'm saying? Let's focus on what we can agree on and what's useful in order to move forward as a society.
Part of the problem. They seem to instinctively require information, whether they need it or not. And the media are also part of the problem. The quantity of information they produce, enormous. The quality, dubious.
Not only the media, but nowadays, social media. The quantity of information that they put out, alarming. The quality of it, trash. Trash. In my Bubba Dub her voice, trash. Hot garbage.
What's the result of this bombardment? We feel confused, frustrated, resentful, alienated, overloaded. We turn off. T.S. Eliot wrote something right to the point. Where's the wisdom we have lost in knowledge? Where's the knowledge we have lost in information?
Where's the wisdom we have lost in knowledge? And where's the knowledge we have lost in information? Take a second and ponder on that. Take a second and ponder on that.
Where's the knowledge we have lost in information?
Wisdom is to have very good judgment and a sense of the larger issues. Knowledge says, tells you how to build a bridge. Wisdom says, do you want a bridge there?
Thank you. You heard that, right? Knowledge is saying, I know how to build a bridge. This is the information. This is the blueprint. I done went to school. I got the knowledge on how to build a bridge. Having wisdom is saying that, do I need a bridge though? Do I even need to build this bridge in the first place? That's all I'm trying to say. We got a lot of knowledgeable people out here about some shit that don't matter, but ain't nobody using wisdom and saying that, do I even need this shit even gonna help me in my living situation? It's the information that I'm absorbing. How is it going to help me get better mentally, spiritually, or physically? Or is it just some good shit to keep mind fucking me? To keep the dopamine going? Are you not entertained yet? See, we got to be careful. We should not be absorbing so much information to the point of it's doing us a detriment. To the point of now we're turning off. That's why I ain't made no damn videos in a minute. Hell, I had turned off. It was information overload. It wasn't none of a lot of the stuff that I'm speaking for myself personally. A lot of the stuff that I was consuming, information and videos and things of that nature, it wasn't doing me no good. So if it ain't doing me no good, why would I want to get out here for the sake of $1 and do the same to a group of other people? I ain't wired up like that. But guess what? 95% of YouTube is.
You have a machine that can store billions of bits of information on a real-time basis. The temptation of management's learning to operate in an alien philosophy, which we're now in, is to confuse all of that data for information. And the more skilled the technician, the more they want to lay on you. So that the struggle of management is to attempt to get information which means something, as opposed to a vast printouts of data that tells you really more than you ought to know.
The process, the kind of mind needed to accumulate data, and the kind of mind needed to interpret it and understand its meaning are different kinds of minds. So that you don't have an increase in efficiency or in humanity simply because you have an increase in the amount of information that's available. In fact, you probably have a net loss.
With all the information,
you have a net loss. It's only makes sense. Like receiving the information, being able to process and interpret that information are two totally different things. All right. Just because you are being bombarded and dumped on, let me say it like this, just because you're being bombarded with information doesn't mean that it's a good thing. Doesn't mean that you're going to be efficient. Doesn't mean that we as a society, as human beings, are going to be efficient because we have access to all this new information. 9 times out of 10, the opposite going to happen. It's going to make it that much harder to complete any task because now you have too many goddamn details. That's why the military keep information compartmentalized on a need-to-know basis. So that whole organism called the military can work. And guess what? If you are a soldier, I've never been in the military, but I know enough to know this. Compartmentalization is important and it works. Because if everybody knew all the details, they wouldn't be able to agree on shit. And that's what's going on right now, good people, in our country. Too many details, too much information. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be out here educating yourself. You should be. But we have to know when to set certain things aside and agree on something so we can come together as a collective and get this thing started. Or fix whatever problems we got. But if you keep on dumping more and more information, you're only adding to the problem.
available. There's the danger that you finally become dependent on the briefer, the man who can package it for you in a way that is comprehensible. And the briefer, in turn, may have more the qualities of an actor than of a thinker. And anybody who's ever studied a subject seriously knows that the first thing that comes to your mind is almost always wrong, even though it sounds plausible. And yet, when you are overwhelmed with so much information, you usually act, or you're tempted to act on the first thing that you think you understood. So I would say, one, we have to live with it. Second, it is a great, I look at it as an opportunity. You're always better off knowing something than not knowing it. Third, it puts a special obligation on leaders and decision makers to explain what they're really doing.
Assuming that the leaders themselves know what they're doing.
Man,
They don't. We certainly don't.
We got to hear Kissinger one more time.
The last person who did know everything.
In fact, you probably have a net loss.
With all the information available, there's the danger that you finally become dependent on the briefer, the man who can package it for you in a way that is comprehensible.
You heard that? He said basically that with all this information that's coming out, again, man, just think about this. This was 1979. This is what's going on right now, y'all. There's so much information that's coming out here. People that don't have the intellectual capacity to entertain a thought without accepting it is depending on the person that's giving them the information to package it up for them, and they're just believing it at face value. They're not doing their own research on anything for the most part. They're just believing the person that's bringing them the video. You see what I'm saying?
And the briefer, in turn, may have more the qualities of an actor than of a thinker.
And the briefer, in turn, may have more qualities of an actor than a thinker. Did I just not say this, 20, 30 minutes ago? They're more like actors. A lot of these people, they looked at Bobby Hemmett videos. You see what I'm saying? They looked at David Blau videos. They compiled all this information that they heard from these people, then come out here and act as if they are enlightened beings. Act as if they are the ones that really did the work, and they're just regurgitating information. They ain't really thinking. If you just really got down to the nuts and bolts and really went there with some of these people on a spiritual level, you'll smoke them. You'll smoke them. You would be surprised about how many of these people with these YouTube channels in this enlightened sector or this woke sector of YouTube don't know what the fuck they really talking about.
And anybody who's ever studied a subject seriously knows that the first thing that comes to your mind is almost always wrong, even though it sounds plausible. And yet, when you are overwhelmed with so much information, you usually act, or you're tempted to act, on the first thing that you think you understood. Mm-hmm. So I would say, one, we have to live with it. Second, it is I look at it as an opportunity. You're always better off knowing something than not knowing it.
I agree.
Third,
I agree. I think that you're always better off knowing something than not knowing it. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I tell you, I'm not against people getting out here and trying to educate themselves. I'm just telling you to be wary of bad actors that tell you your vote don't count. Shit like that. It's telling you to wait on space daddies and shit like that. You see what I'm saying? It's telling you a whole bunch of stuff that ain't gonna have no direct effect on anything being changed for the better in your life. If you want to be entertained by that stuff, fine. I'm one of those guys. I like to be entertained by conspiracy theories, unsolved mysteries, channels like the Y-Files and things of that nature. Like I love that type of stuff. I'm an intellectual. I'm a free thinker. I like to dive into those realms. However, I do understand that you gotta let some of that shit go. You can't sit here and try to solve all the mysteries of existence. The human brain can't do it. So, in my opinion, it's more important for a person to just do the best you can while you're here and trying to enjoy this thing that we call life and not overcomplicate it. Study to show yourself approved. Use information that is useful. If the information ain't useful, it ain't no sense in putting energy into it and fussing with each other when the opposition is over here taking advantage of our division.
Third, it puts a special obligation on leaders and decision makers to explain what they're really doing.
Assuming that the leaders themselves know what they're doing. If they don't, we certainly don't.
Thank you.
The last person who did know everything, or so it was said, was the 19th century English philosopher, economist, linguist, botanist, theologist, chemist, historian, and feminist,
Damn.
John Stuart Mill. But we may never again have a John Stuart Mill. For one reason. This machine, right now, contains too much information for this machine to absorb.
Ooh-wee. That was good. That computer, listen to what I'm saying, y'all. This is very important, especially in this artificial intelligence age. Ding, ding, ding. The computer, along with artificial intelligence, has too much data for the human brain to absorb. We will not, I repeat, we will not be able to decipher real human works when it comes to writing, when it comes to content creation, from artificial intelligence. You know why? Because the computer is way smarter than us. I ain't said the computer was wise. see where I'm going with this? But the computer has more information than we do. See, the wisdom of humans should kick in at some point and be like, do we need to do certain things just because the computer got the information to do it? Is it a good idea? That's where we're at. I had a conversation with my partner, the same partner I was talking about earlier, and we were talking about artificial intelligence. He's a firm believer and supporter in AI. Disclaimer, I'm not against AI. I'm all for AI with parameters. You see what I'm saying? I'm just like this guy right here in my conversation saying that we need to have wisdom in how we use the information.
Could it be, as some people hope, that computers are somehow the answer to information overload? I personally don't think so. Because what computers really do is organize information. And you see, knowledge is information that has been distilled and then understood. Not by a machine, but by a far more complex instrument. The thinking and feeling human being.
Facts.
So there's the problem. There's just too much information, good information, around. And by necessity, we've become narrow specialists in a world which, I feel, desperately needs generalists.
We glorify the expert today, and we think we can't move unless there's some expert information available. We've given up on the generalist. So this desire for expertise in making decisions means that we have to satisfy ourselves that there are sufficient papers. I happen to believe in the generalist. I think you need people who are well versed and have some excellence in areas, but I don't think that you have to be so advised to the nth degree of the expert or from the expert that you can't move.
The increase in the flow of new knowledge, in the flow of information, has made it practically impossible for anyone to keep up with his own field. I am an economist and have been so for 55 years, but I can now no longer see what's going on in my own field. The number of journals, the number of articles in the journals has increased so immensely that it is out of the question that I can read all the stuff that's published.
Now, perhaps the information society requires a new kind of person. Someone who refuses to be overwhelmed by bureaucratic nonsense. Someone who knows not only how to get information, but also how to select what's valuable. Unfortunately, some of us seem to be going in exactly the opposite direction.
Shit, better say it. Listen, man. I thought that video, in my opinion, was right, spot on. I'm talking about it hit everything. It hit the nail on the head as far as everything that's going on right now with information, with AI, with our society. We need to take a step back, and we need more free thinkers. We need more people that can. I like the ideal of generalists. You know, we got too many so-called experts that aren't really experts. They're just acting as such. But me personally, I consider myself a generalist. I'm good. I'm great at a lot of things. You know. However, I'm an expert at maybe like one or two things, and that's okay. You know, in my field, I'm a janitor. You see what I'm saying? I consider myself an expert in that. You know, I own the janitorial company. You know, I know the ins and the outs. But even in being an expert in that, doesn't mean that sometimes I'm not wrong. Or sometimes I don't use the right chemical in this process or that process. You see what I'm saying? But when we're talking about information, at the rate and the amount that's coming at us, we need to be a little bit more wise in what we're using. We need to be a little bit more wise in how we use it. We need to ask the question of, just for example, is the world flat or is it a globe? Right? Is that really going to affect you and your household? Is it important for us to be arguing that? Or is it more important for us to spend that energy talking about matters that's going to affect us in our day-to-day lives? You see what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying just for debating purposes and we're just, just having a philosophical talk. Yeah, we can have that type of discussion. All right? I'm not knocking that. But when it comes to the prosperity of a people, we don't need to be caught up on, are we Hebrew Israelites or are we New Wabians? You see what I'm saying? When it comes to legislation and things of that nature, we shouldn't be caught up on conspiracy theories that really ain't got nothing to do with nothing. A lot of stuff is thrown at you just to confuse you. And I'm here as a concerned citizen just saying that be wary when you traveling in these YouTube streets. Be wary when you traveling in them Facebook streets. Be cautious when you're traveling on those Instagram, TikTok, and X streets. Okay? Now I'm gonna get on up out of here. I gotta go handle a little business. I'm gonna get back here in a little bit, make me another video a little bit later on tonight. Like I said, I'm back in my content creation bag. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Like I said, I'm switching things up just a tad bit, and it's still gonna be entertaining. However, we got to get a little bit more serious about what's going on in the world, because the time's ticking and time ain't stopping for none of us. And as time goes on, the situation is getting more serious and more serious. So let's pull ourselves up by the bootstraps and let's handle business, standing on it. All right. With that being said, this is KDTV. This was a Daniel Diagnosis. I am your host, Keith Daniel. Till we meet again, good people. Peace.